Hello, I'm your. Okay, one, two, three. Hi, I'm your host, Brian Madman McNally,
And I'm Aaron Darkhazer Banzon.
and today on Dead End Comics, we're reviewing Exit Stage Left, the Snagglepuss. Didn't do the accent that time. I've never been to Mississippi. Is that what people in Mississippi talk like?
I don't know. Like, I've never been to the South, so why don't you try?
Uh, yeah, so getting into the review, though, I gotta say, I kind of have a slight bias towards this, given that I'm very much a First Amendment kind of guy. Like,
Me too.
yeah, some would say like perhaps too much so,
Yeah, me too.
but yeah, no, and I'm also the other way in which I'm kind of biased is that I also had in high school I was really fascinated about learning about the McCarthy era
hmm
and just how they tried suppressing free speech and art during
Yeah.
this time.
hmm
To the point where too, here's something related to I don't believe it was related to the McCarthy era, but it is related to the censorship of art. Is that I believe it was during World War II. There was a song called "Gloomy Sunday" that was banned from playing on the radio because people or because the government was afraid that it because they wanted to lift up spirits during wartime.
That's an interesting fact.
Yeah, but anyways, so actually getting to the review now, though. So Snagglepuss, for those of you who don't know, is originally a Hanna-Barbera cartoon character, which I'm actually surprised at how many people I've talked to that don't know the character when I bring it up to them.
Yeah, I didn't really know it at first until I looked at him. I was like, oh, that guy.
Yeah, a lot of people also, I think understandably, tend to confuse him with the Pink Panther, who is
Yeah.
not a Hanna-Barbera character.
Yeah, it is pretty confusing. They're both pink, but, totally
Yeah.
different
One's a
roles.
panther, one's a lion.
Yeah, but, but both cats.
Yeah, also too, obviously the Snagglepuss, he talks.
Yeah.
And so the character, he was originally the other thing a lot of people, especially from our age, don't realize is that a lot of the Hanna Barbera characters were actually based on other actors. Like the most notable one is that Fred and Wilma are just kind of copies of the characters from the Honeymooners television show.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but other ones are like how the shark Jabberjaw is based on Curly from the Three Stooges.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so Snagglepuss is based on the actor, I can't remember his name, but he's based on the actor that played the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz.
You're just laying down facts on me right now.
Yeah, well, to the point where even his his catchphrase "Heavens to Murgatories" comes from one of his other movies.
Which is...
I don't know.
Okay, there you go. That's the end of the facts, guys.
Yeah, but I'm surprised at how many people did not know this character because, appropriately enough, as well, Mark Russell also brought in other characters from other classic Hanna-Barbera characters that seem to make sense because after his initial solo outing, which I believe was about somewhere in the 20 range of episodes for Snagglepuss, he would often appear alongside other Hanna-Barbera characters like Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it just kind of made sense to bring in all those other characters.
Yeah, you are a cartoon connoisseur, so you would know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually, my friend Ariel and I, we're going to record a thought bubble at some point talking about what we think are some other good candidates for a book. But yeah, no, so I mean, I really enjoyed him bringing in those other characters like Squiddly Diddly,
Yeah.
Peter Potamus, who I think a lot of people would probably know Peter Potamus from know him more from the Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law cartoon series on Adult Swim.
I think I remember him.
Yeah, certainly. Like when I was reading his dialogue, I know that was the voice that came more to my head than the original one from the old cartoons.
I miss cartoons.
Yeah. But what Mark Russell did though with the character is that he changed it from an effeminate pink lion who, you know, we all made jokes about how he was probably gay,
Yeah.
and he actually made him gay.
Yeah.
In the 50s, during the height of McCarthyism, and Snagglepuss is a playwright in New York on Broadway. And he's the biggest playwright.
Yeah.
And so, that reminds me of another character too, is right off the bat in the first issue, they bring in Augie Doggie, who is from the Doggy Daddy and Augie Doggie cartoon, as kind of his understudy and protege.
Yeah. Well, this is a Hanna-Barbera universe. So.
Yeah. Which I will say though that their relationship was never really all that fleshed out compared to some.
It was not.
And it's especially weird too, considering I don't want to spoil what happens until next week, but there is something that happens related to Augie Doggie that would seem to make him a bigger part of Snagglepuss's life.
Yeah, but it's not fleshed out, so like we didn't really get anything.
Yeah. So what are your overall thoughts?
It was very interesting, especially with the 1950s at the height of McCarthyism. Especially with the whole scare going on. It was really interesting, especially getting it from their perspectives, you know, the socialites, like, who were being targeted by, you know, the McCarthyist committees. Like, it's a very interesting perspective, like, seeing their struggles and, like, how they saw things instead of, you know, what we see in the history books of, you know, like, oh, there was just this Red Scare because people were scared of the Soviet Union and all that.
Yeah. Something else that's also worth mentioning is, you know, I just talked about, like, how there are all these other Hanna-Barbera characters that come into the story, but there are also real historical figures in there as well, such as Marilyn Monroe. Yep. There's a baseball player's name I've already forgotten.
Joe?
Yeah, and there was a playwright who now I'm also blanking on his name.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Arthur Miller. Arthur Miller was brought in too, and his... that was really funny too, because it's like they referenced the one play of his that I've actually read. It was required reading back in high school.
Oh, what was it?
I can't remember what it was called, but it was about the Salem. It was about the Salem witch trials, and he even talks about it as well. Because I don't believe they ever actually gave his last name when he showed up. They just referred to him as being Arthur.
Yeah, I don't remember the last name.
And then the giveaway is when he's talking to someone else about how he's working on a play about the Salem witch hunts, but it's actually like a thinly veiled allegory to McCarthyism.
Yeah, and then like, the costumes will be cheap.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I also too just the way it opens up is great. Where Snagglepuss he's speaking before Congress. And they're asking if he knows any other radical writers, and he's like, "Why, I do."
Yeah,
Muhammad, the Buddha, and Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he was just playing with them and messing with them. I was like, "Oh yeah." And then when he said those names, I was like, "Yeah, they really are subversive to their society." I do admit that.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's really what gets to the heart of what I really enjoyed about one of the many themes of the story being just, you know, what is society without its subversives, its people that are willing to change? And this also kind of gets into, you know, what makes America so great.
Like, you know, what is a free society without, you know, different thinkers, you know? Like, I really enjoy that deconstruction as well. What makes America great is because of our freedom of choice, freedom of think, freedom of expression.
Yeah, as well as the way in which artists can affect a culture.
Yeah, art's very important, but, you know, there's other things too. But, you know, art does play a pivotal role in how society is shaped.
Yeah, because, you know, then there's, you know, at one point he's talking to the woman who is the main antagonist of the book.
Yeah.
And she's talking about how, like, you know, what happens when they need, you know, she's at one point talks to him. I almost spoiled something there, but she's essentially trying to like convince him to like, you know, we need to promote American values because what happens if there is doubt in the minds of our soldiers?
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, it's all really interesting to read, and what I also liked about it too is much like the Flintstones comic, which was Mark Russell's previous work before Snagglepuss.
Really?
Yeah. Which is also fantastic. We're going to be reviewing that at some point. That's
a commitment right there.
Yeah. That was actually another one of the comics that did inspire me to want to do this as well.
Oh, okay. There's more than two then, huh? But you
It
have the
was
top
mostly
two.
those two,
Yeah.
but yeah. But yeah, no, he brings up these ideas that makes you think, which is,
Yeah.
I think that's a really good sign of great work is when it's making you actually think and consider things.
Exactly. That's why I love Man of Steel so much. I just had to give Man of Steel a shout out all the time.
Yeah. So what are some of your thoughts though?
Well, like I said, it was. I think it's very interesting to get their perspective and also the deconstruction and also, the complexity of people's lives. And especially when towards the end,
Oh yeah.
towards the end, like about how yeah, shame really makes us into a certain person and all that, and yeah, it just shows how dark the world could be, but also how bright the world could be if we were willing to stand up for what we believe in, really fight for what we believe in, make a stand, and really use this freedom to really think differently and be creative and think beyond.
Yeah, because there's something else too that's also a large part of the book. Another one of the themes is what the gay community was like in that era of kind of trying to hide,
Yeah.
but also being also trying to live their lives
Hmm.
to the best of their abilities and
Yeah.
be happy. And one of the things too, another character who I initially got the impression that she was going to be underdeveloped, but even though she doesn't really have that much screen time, is Snagglepuss's wife,
Mm.
where she knows that he's gay and that
Yeah.
it's all an act for
Yeah.
both of them. But I believe it's around the second or third time that she's brought back, and you see how they both share an apartment, even though they're not
Oh yeah.
sharing the same room.
It's an arranged marriage and all that.
Yeah, and I really liked that scene where she talked about how I know that this is all just an act, but
Yeah. Like I want to be a part of your life still.
yeah, because I get that it's like
Mhm.
you know if I were in that position like she was, it's like I'd at least want to be this person's friend.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and in just that one moment, he really brought a lot of light to
Mhm.
this character.
Yeah. Yeah. That was actually a pretty heartwarming moment. And then Snagglepuss decided, yeah, yeah, like I was wrong to put you that way, and then make things right and all that.
Yeah, something else I'll also say too is at least in comparison to the Flintstones comic, this is a much more drastic departure and reinvention of a character. Because with the Flintstones comic, I felt like it as an adaptation, like I really didn't feel like it was all that far from the original Flintstones. It was a
Mm.
modernized version.
Yeah.
It was a more adult version, but it wasn't. It didn't feel entirely different from what the Flintstones was. Whereas
Mhm.
the original Snagglepuss character, he was also, not only was he largely just kind of goofy and meant to be a joke, but there's never it was all episodic. There's never any
Yeah.
serialized story
Yeah.
to him, and not just that character, but really all these characters that he brings in, he really reinvents them.
Yeah. This is like a very serious comic, like a vast departure from the original cartoon.
Yeah, and in fact, too, I don't know. Did you read the historical glossary at the end of the book?
I skimmed through it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's good enough. But yeah, no, because yeah, you see that he based a lot of these characters on real life people all
Mm.
too, and like I said, I also mentioned too, there are historical figures in there as well,
Mm.
and we'll talk about more about the ending
Oh, yeah.
next week.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say though, I really enjoyed the way that it ended, where it was kind of harsh, but then it
Yeah.
had that levity towards the end of it.
Yeah.
That also, if you know about the history of Snagglepuss and the character, it actually makes the joke even funnier.
It really is a bittersweet ending, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, and I really appreciated that too,
Mm.
as well. That at the end of the day, Snagglepuss didn't win, largely because during that time in McCarthy eras, during McCarthy era, a lot of people didn't win, and
Yeah.
ultimately what brought down McCarthyism, for those of you that don't know, uh, is that Hollywood just decided, like, fuck the blacklists. We're not gonna, yeah, we're not gonna, we're just gonna ignore the blacklists. So what did you think about the art?
It was very interesting to see, these cartoon characters in more, realistic terms, in more realistic way of looking.
Yeah, yeah, I also really liked that as well. Just having it actually it reminded me a lot of the animated show on Netflix, BoJack Horseman, which has a similar kind of aesthetic to the world.
Yeah.
Where like there are no real animals in that show, and I believe that in Snagglepuss at certain points there are actual animals. Like there's humanoid animals and regular animals. But and so in BoJack Horseman there are only humanoid animals. There are no regular animals. But it did kind of have that thing though, where it's like occasionally you'd see some other kind of animal walking around in the background.
Yeah.
But the one difference between this and that show, though, is that oftentimes a lot of the humanoid animals in Snagglepuss tend to go bottomless.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, he's not wearing anything under there, but at least it's not showing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
that was actually kind of funny. I was like, okay, at least it's not showing, what.
But yeah, so that also too kind of did make it. That was kind of like a happy medium between this artist's new art style and the original Hanna-Barbera style. Because in the original Hanna-Barbera style, all Snagglepuss wore was like
the bow tie.
Yeah, bow tie and cufflinks.
And the hat. Yeah. He didn't really wear any shirt or pants.
I don't think he wore a hat. I think you're thinking of. I think you're thinking of.
I think he did.
I think you're thinking of Huckleberry Hound.
I know Huckleberry Hound wore a hat, but I'm pretty sure Snagglepuss wore a hat sometimes, right?
We're gonna look up an image right here.
Wow. Right in the middle of our podcast, guys.
Yeah, see, he doesn't wear it. Oh, I guess he's got a hat there.
Yeah, kind of.
For the most part, most of these images do not portray him wearing a hat.
Yeah, most of them. But, sometimes it looks like it's in the opening of his cartoon. An opening. You know what an opening is? You animate people know what an opening is.
Oh, here's another fun fact, though.
What?
Do you know what a Chippendale dancer is?
No.
I was going to say, I might cut this out and then put it at the end of the review.
Yeah, screw it, whatever. Go ahead.
Chippendale dancer. There's this thing in Vegas and a few other places where muscular men, all they wear is like black pants, cufflinks, and bow tie.
Gosh.
But anyways, Snagglepuss was doing that before Chippendale dancers were a thing.
Oh, okay. So he's the hipster then. He's the originalist, huh?
He's the original Chippendale dancer.
Oh man, and then now people love it. Like, I'm not into that. I'm sorry, guys.
I mean, I'm not either. I'm just
not good.
I'm gonna cut that out because it makes you seem homophobic.
No. I'm like, just making a joke.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so I just thought that was, I just wanted to mention that was funny, but, the funny thing is, though, Snagglepuss, for the most part, he looks pretty good, but some of the other characters are kind of hideous looking, and I can't tell if that's intentional.
Are we talking about the humans or the animals?
The animals.
Okay, which animals then?
Well, the two that come to mind for me are Peter Potamus and Squiddly Diddly.
Okay, I can understand Squiddly Diddly, but Peter Potamus is like, seemed pretty normal to me.
Yeah, Squiddly Diddly too. He's ugly, but it's more like he's kind of ugly in his face. It's kind of got like an actual ugly guy face.
It really is the face.
Yeah.
I did see that. I was like, this guy is like, I'm pretty sure he's a great singer, but I'm like, that face is like kind of creeping me out, actually.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm sure if maybe you just made that human, made him human, he'd probably just still be ugly. You'd just be...
Yeah, just like, like a guy you kind of stare at but don't want to, Well, okay, what about Peter Potamus then?
Peter Potamus, there's just something about his eyes, like they tried to make them look like hippo eyes. It's like, I don't know, there's something weird, because it's like of how far apart they are.
I don't know about your perspective about the eyes, but the eyes like seem like he's just really stressed out and crazy and all that.
Yeah.
I just look into the eyes. You're just focused on the eye distance from each other.
Yeah. One of the other characters too that that they brought in here, and I thought it was pretty clever, was they brought in Quick Draw McGraw. He's a policeman who takes protection money from the Stonewall bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of another thing too. Did you at any point think that the bear who was the bartender? Did you at any point think that was Yogi Bear?
No, did not occur to me.
I thought it was Yogi Bear, and then at one point they referred to him as being Joey. But I thought it was Yogi because he had like a hat.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't Yogi Bear's hat, but he did have a hat.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also had like the bow tie, like the bow tie and like cuff, like Yogi Bear did.
Well,
the neck cuff.
Well, I did notice all that, but it didn't occur to me that was Yogi Bear. I was like, okay, it's just a bartender bear. So, you really thought it was Yogi Bear?
I did at first, yeah. I thought it was Yogi Bear.
But it wasn't, so.
Yeah. So is there anything else to say?
All the spoilers, then.
All right. So join us back next week for our spoiler discussion on Snagglepuss. And following this, we are going to be reviewing Fight Club 2.
Fight Club.
Yes.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Yes, that's rule 1. Well, I think the new rule 1 should be don't talk about Fight Club 2, because for the most part, I'm going to try to keep these fairly positive reviews, but
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I did want to review Fight Club 2 because some venting needs to be made.
Okay.
And also, Aaron has homework. He's got to watch the movie at least.
Yeah, I do. And enough of my anime for a bit. So
yeah, it's only like 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. But, anime takes time. But, there's also anime movies. But, yeah, I'll watch it.
So follow Dead End Comics on Twitter at DeadEndCBC. You can find us on SoundCloud at SoundCloud/DeadEndComics. And you can find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/DeadEndComicBooks.